Hi, babe. Welcome to the Horror Babe Show. I'm your host, Chelsea Beller. If you're in the horror community, you might have heard the horrific news that there are two new Evil Dead movies in development. What? Now, if you're an Evil Dead franchise fan, much like myself, you're excited. This is amazing news, especially in the case of being one of the people who wasn't entirely enthused about the last two movies. I know that's an unpopular opinion. It's my opinion. Whatever. So let's say I'm intrigued. This news, of course, led to me rewatching The Evil Dead from 1981 and Evil Dead 2 from 1987, starring the incomparable, the man, the legend, the Chin, Bruce Campbell. I have yet to meet him, but I do know we'll have a fall wedding. I was thinking, my last comparison video did pretty well, so I thought might as well do another one. Link to previous comparison video above and below, by the way. So I was thinking, let's compare The Evil Dead and Evil Dead 2. If you have not seen the Evil Dead movies, fear not. I only watched them for the first time in the last 3-4 years. It's okay. A previous coworker of mine was raving about them, and I thought I might as well watch them, see what the hoopla is. Turns out I had no idea what I was missing. If you don't know, Evil Dead 2 is not a sequel to The Evil Dead. It's a remake with a clearly more robust budget. Here's the premise to The Evil Dead. The Evil Dead is a 1981 American supernatural horror movie directed and written by Sam Raimi. 5 college students head out to a cabin in the woods in a bitchin' Oldsmobile. We have Ash, played by Bruce Campbell, his sister Cheryl, his girlfriend Linda, his friend Scott, and Scott's girlfriend Shelley. Unfortunately, a few members of the group start to get the spooks by the cabin, the woods, small weird things happening, particularly after they listen to a tape recording of a man, an unknown man, talking about this Book of the Dead. One by one, Ash's friends become possessed by demons, and Ash has to fight each of them and wait until dawn when the sun comes out and he can drag his ass home. Evil Dead 2 is a very similar premise. Evil Dead 2, Dead by Dawn, is a 1987 American comedy horror film directed by Sam Raimi. Bruce Campbell takes up the role of Ash once again. This time, however, instead of a car full of college students, it's just Ash and his girlfriend Linda. They travel to this abandoned cabin in the woods only to find a tape recording of an unknown man translating this Book of the Dead. Once these words are spoken out loud, the demons from the woods find Ash and Linda. Now, possessed Linda is attacking Ash, and Ash is forced to kill her. Ash is then haunted, taunted, harangued, attacked, and maimed by these demons from the woods. Maimed, you ask? How? How was he maimed? Well, if you don't know, one of the demons bites Ash's hand, and now his possessed hand is trying to kill him. So he's forced to chop off his own hand with a chainsaw. Yeah, a chainsaw. Right. Crazy. Not only that, the daughter of the cellar witch, Editor Chelsea is now realizing I haven't explained this character yet. A man and his wife who later becomes a quote-unquote cellar witch are the ones who own the cabin. I explain this better around minute 10. Okay, back to the video. Annie comes home to her parents' cabin, only to find Ash and blood everywhere. It's not just her, there's also her partner and the two people with whom they hitchhiked to get there. They become a load of help. Not really. All but Annie and Ash die. It becomes up to Annie and Ash to fight these demons, including her own mother. Annie, turns out she followed in her father's footsteps and found these missing pages from the Book of the Dead. So she speaks them out loud to get rid of these demons, which kind of works, but it ends up creating a portal to another dimension, another time, who knows, another world? Well, Ash ends up getting sucked up into the portal. Ash is then hurled into the past, the medieval past. This leads to the third movie in the franchise, Army of Darkness. So let's begin the comparison here. The beginnings of each of these movies is very similar on paper, but vastly different. Evil Dead 2 really cuts to the chase. In the first movie, you have ample time to get to know each of these 5 characters. In the second movie, my boyfriend Mike and I noticed all the bullet points from the first movie happen in the second movie within the first 20 minutes. That's how fast it is. The remake really hits the ground running, which is great. It's fast, it's to the point, it's not so fast that you miss things. Linda, the girlfriend, dies within the first 30 minutes of the movie, which of course leads to Ash's descent into madness, and that happens all the more quickly, but also progresses in a fantastical acid trip kind of way. Then there's the Deadites. This is what we call the people who are possessed. In the first movie, each character has a special way of becoming possessed. Very special, very unique. For instance, the first and most notable is Ash's sister, Cheryl. Cheryl is lured outside into the woods to then be assaulted physically and sexually by the woods. The trees, in fact. The trees. It's rough. This can be quite a shocking scene if you don't know it's coming, which I didn't. But I think it's also insanely clever. I've never seen anything like that before. My personal favorite Deadite in The Evil Dead is Linda. Her laugh and clown-like makeup just totally freak me out, but also get me laughing in a very strange combination of emotions. One of these Halloweens, I'm gonna be Linda. I'm gonna do it. The Deadites in Evil Dead 2 somehow seem more sinister, even though it's a comedy horror. So we know that Ash and his girlfriend Linda come upon this abandoned cabin. What we don't know is that it belonged to a man and his wife who discovered this Book of the Dead somehow. Once the man read it out loud, his wife became possessed and he had to kill her. And so he buried her downstairs in the cellar. She wasn't dead, however. She becomes the cellar witch. Her physique makes me sick every time. Her exposed, decomposing belly and breasts are enough to put me off my lunch. Of course, I can't not mention Linda, who, when she becomes a Deadite, her naked, dancing, partially decomposing body in the moonlight is a thing of beauty. And totally freaky, mostly because she's stop motion. What I love about these movies is the use of makeup, prosthetics, stop motion, and of course, all the colorful blood and guts. It's ostentatious in a way, but Evil Dead 2 has a way of not taking itself too seriously. When watching the first movie, I find myself stifling laughter because I know it's not supposed to be funny. It just is. Evil Dead 2 is supposed to be funny, and it also makes you sick. Evil Dead 2 is more to the point, more focused, more stylized. You can tell Sam really found his voice here. Not only that, but Bruce's performance shows exponential growth as well, but also his physicality is a character on its own. Bruce has proved time and time again he's an incredible physical actor who has amazing control over his body and his facial expressions. He had more obvious character development in the second film, and you can tell he really becomes Ash, especially when he puts on that chainsaw on his little stub. The Evil Dead has a great premise and a great use of costume, makeup, and props. It's just not as focused as Evil Dead 2. It's a fine movie on its own, but when compared to the second one stands out by far. I would be remiss if I didn't mention the camera work in these films. It's famously Sam Raimi and immensely effective. It's horrifying, but it throws you into the film. It's like a roller coaster. Once you see it, you'll recognize it. Evil Dead 2 is definitely in my top 5. Is it in yours? So, what do you think of the Evil Dead franchise? Are you looking forward to the 2 new ones? Did you like the 2 last ones? And if you actually want my full opinion of the last 2 Evil Dead movies, please let me know in the comments. Well, that's it from me. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to like, comment, follow, and subscribe. Follow me on Instagram and Letterboxd to see what I'm watching, what I'm rating. Bye, babe.